presented to you. Okay?
This is an example, Steve, of the qualitative side of the focus group. There was also a quantitative side, but this is just to give an example of what the responses were like.
Right. So this went out to them. He put a little Starbucks card in there. Stan sent it out, and then we got it back. You know, how do you think Stan could improve? What was the most important determining factors? Would you recommend any friends or family members to Stan? Yes, without question. What are the most important things can you do to service your account? Very little. Call on annual, rollover date, call to discuss new options. He's a great person to work with, and I'm someone I'm proud to call a friend. Holy mackerel. This is what you need. Now, we sent this out. We got this all back, and we did this. And now we have an opportunity to start working these people through. This is important, this sheet. We do this here for you. Our agents that produce with us, we'll do this with you, for you. Our agents that don't produce with us, put in some wood and you will get heat. It's very, very simple. Very, very simple with what we do here. Now, Robert, our business strategist. Want to talk with Robert here for a quick moment? Robert, I know you're there. Talk a little bit about your business strategy to turn up the heat, what we do, how we do it, and tell them all a little bit about yourself.
Well, first of all, I'll talk a little bit about my background. I had the opportunity to come out of one of the, I think the second most boring area, and that's legal publishing, you know, and but I learned a lot in that industry, and that is number one thing is salespeople have to stay focused, and the only silver bullet is you. That's it. You know, some of my clients include companies like Cigna, Aetna, New York Life, Hinkle, Procter & Gamble. I've had the opportunity to speak at some of the largest universities in the country and associations worldwide, and I love coaching and being a strategic coach for CEOs, entertainers, and athletes. But here at Senior Advisory Group, I have to tell you, I've talked to Steve, I'd say over 500 of our advisors, and it's really interesting. It really boils down to one thing. Those advisors that are focused, those advisors that understand professionalism and how to practice as a professional, you know, they'll win every time. And I'll tell you this, our guys that are at the top, you know, our producers at the top, you know, they are always contacting me. You know, they'll find me one way or the other. They definitely find me, and I'm available to them. And you know, they appreciate the resource. So just got off the phone right before this call with one of our top producers, and it was all about focus. And we also got Craig on that call at the same time, and he talked about marketing strategies. So you know, this type of program, this is work, and this is value added for our producers.
Right, and then Robert, you know, a lot of the stuff, you know, we talked about, and we did some work with one of our guys in California, was about definition of engagement and how to make that emotional, personal contact with your client. And one of the things that we did, I know you're talking about your tip of the day, emotional, it's always being in the forethought of their mind. If you're dripping on these people and you're talking to these people and you're sending them something as minute as it is or as big as it is, doesn't matter, you're always placing yourself in the forethought of their mind. So they're always thinking about you when it comes to this kind of stuff.
Exactly, exactly. I mean, it's always it's you know how the old saying is, the greasy wheel. You know, I mean, you think about it. You know what I mean? You know, if you're putting grease on the wheel, you know, it's going to spin right. So, and the same thing here. You know, I sort of, you know, I just said that our top producers. I mean, they're in the forethought of my mind because you know they're calling in and they're talking to me all the time. But there's a tip I want to share, and this is very simple. I mean, it's a very simple tip, and it starts with this piece right here, your compelling introduction. This is something that's basic, simple, and something that everybody can use, and even in our training, which we got into this very, you know, a lot more deeply than we're going to today, but you know, it was interesting when we asked that question, you know, how do you introduce yourself? So many of our people said, well, I'm a financial planner. And, you know, just the same old, same old. If you want to differentiate yourself, you have to have a compelling introduction. And here's a great one, you know, that I love to practice with everybody that I work with individually and even on my calls, and that is my expertise is in tax-deferred programs that provide the ability to withdraw an income and be guaranteed to leave more to a spouse or heirs regardless of what happens to the market or interest rates. That's compelling. That makes someone want to talk to you. That makes someone want to get to know you. That is what makes someone wants to begin. This is starting that advocate relationship. It starts with a compelling introduction.
And you know, Robert, I know when we do our training and you talk to these guys, we talk a lot about engaging, how to engage the client, you know. And once again, it goes back to some of the basics. You know, what's your office look like? Does it exude certain things like confidence and stability? We always like to say pictures of the places you travel. No one wants to work with an advisor who looks like they're broke or doesn't have a realm of success. Obviously, books, magazines, all the things that exude lifestyle that these people are wanting for. But I think a real neat little thing that you've talked about is just bring them a little something. A lot of you guys do appointments at the home. Do you stop and bring them something when you go to their house? I think about parties, Robert. You know, when we get invited, we got a lot of Christmas parties. When you guys go to a party at someone's house, do you come empty-handed? Do you bring flowers or wine or something?
That makes a difference.
Yeah, I think it's a great icebreaker. Where's the difference? I know, like Robert, I mean, you talk about that. So what is the engaging way with this?
You know, it's interesting. This is an emotional sell. I mean, if you think about it, you're taking hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars from somebody. You're giving them a piece of paper. So breaking that ice is important, and the engagement piece is important. We're gonna go to this next. Go ahead and click to that next screen. I want to go there because I have to say this is a very simple tip. Let's continue on ambience of your seminar events. I think that in many cases we don't think about, you know, sort of what happens. You know, just walking into a room, the room that is cold, that makes a difference. It's just the little things. It's how you practice, a customized menu. There again, little simple things. You can ask the restaurant to do this for you, and I guarantee you they'll do it. But if you don't ask, they won't do it. But this got to be part of your.
Robert, I'm looking at all this, and those are like eight items? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If all of those were just 10% of what it did, that's 8. Those little things equal 80%.
Exactly. Yeah, meal selection, presentation, music, personalized title screens, appointment urgency, which we're going to get a little bit more into, and thank you cards for everyone attending your seminar. That's everybody. Whether you book an appointment with them or not, you need to send them a thank you card. Cards for Thanksgiving, right. Valentine's Day, Veterans Day.
And on the bottom
Day, doesn't matter.
On the bottom here, you see a neat little deal about engage them in the goals.
Exactly.
We came up with this sheet because Robert said, you know, I'm watching this. He goes, none of these guys are engaging these clients out of the gate. You know, it's like, I'm going to get in my car and I'm going to drive, but I got to put my transmission in gear first. He goes, we got to get their transmissions in gear. Then let's start talking. And we implemented this in San Diego, California. So if you don't think that there's any competition in San Diego that this helps, we did this for a gentleman, Greg Chick, down in Southern California, out San Diego way. Robert helped put this together for him. This is not the lead sheet, right, Robert? This is the sheet we give just when they sit down to fill out to start engaging them to think about what we're going to do.
Yeah, this really gets the client. This is clicking their emotional mind to a focus point where they're thinking specifically about themselves and their goals. It only takes about a minute to fill out. And I'll tell you, part of the process Greg used is that, and we actually worked on this together, but he gave them this sheet to start his dinner, had everybody to fill it out, had 100% participation in them filling out the sheet, and he also provided envelopes for everybody, and he had them to put in an envelope and had them to write their name on that envelope. And then he picked them up at the end of the meeting, and that was the cool part because he picked them up and he said, when I come see you for an appointment, I'm going to be bringing your goals with you, and that's really what we're focused on is your goals. So just think about the amount of engagement and what that did to the client's focus. And he still did everything he normally would do, but he, you know, I'll tell you what, he had 18 buying units, 14 appointments immediately. He's already closed 5 deals, and he's probably going to get a couple more appointments. That's not bad.
And it's real simple. Greg's a good salesman, but the reality of the deal is that using this got the clients engaged, got their minds in gear, and got them to stop thinking about, okay, I'm here getting something sold to me, and start thinking, okay, this person wants to know what my goals are and where I want to go and how I want to get there. The compelling phrase, guys, remember this compelling phrase. I had a question. Can we email this? We're going to make you a deal here at the end, so don't worry about it. I want to get to that question. but the compelling phrase, and then let's go to the number one question. And this is where my man Keith, you've been so patient and quiet. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But I'm going to tell you what, guys, this guy is something else. He started writing business with us in September, 30 years in the business, has never written an indexed annuity, hated them. Working with us on our product with the Nexus Group and our Nexus products, he is 23 for 23?
Yes.
Keith? Okay, 23 for 20, hasn't missed, 23 for 23.
23 for 23.
23 for 23, hasn't missed. And the reason why he hasn't missed is because you asked this question, correct?
Absolutely.
So, Keith, I kind of want, Keith's out in Kansas for everybody, and Keith, I kind of want you to walk them through exactly how you present this to the client, and I want you to tell them why they say yes after they get done talking to you.
Well, the situation on this is this is the whole program right here. This is the door opener. This is the power. This is, believe me, if you're not seeing Mr. and Mrs. and they both exist, start all over, because this is where it's at. With Mrs. sitting right there, you read this out loud to them, and you concentrate on his eyes and watch where his eyes go when you read this statement. And his wife will then make eye contact, and I'm guaranteeing you, you probably are done. You're probably done.
It sounds so simple and easy and trivial, but Bill, I know this is how you got your deal going with your gentleman, because this is what he gravitated to. And Keith, I know this is exactly where you focused for the last 3 months, and you've been perfect. Now, I don't know if we're going to keep up the perfect ratio, but 9 out of 10 ain't bad either, right?
We're going to keep it up as long as I have the product that you guys are showing me.
And here's what we've done, guys, with the family endowment rider that we have in this concept. It's about legacy planning. It's 4% compounded annually, okay? We guarantee 4% compounded annually. It'll go all the way through age 85 or age 90 if you don't use the bonus. 85 if you do, 90 if you don't. It does not stop. If you have an income rider on here and trigger the income rider, that family endowment rider will still keep compounding. However, I think you're going to see the income riders are pretty much a moot point. And Keith will attest to that here in a little bit. Our rider charge, it can never invade the principal. It's only taken from earnings. It allows for you to ask this number one question, and better yet, it allows for you to answer the number one question that Keith was just talking about. This question will dramatically increase your closing rate. Keith, have you ever gone 23 for 23 with any other concept in the country prior to this?
Only when I'm trying to throw batting practice.
Only when you're throwing batting practice? Yeah. And it is different and it is distinct, because it's the only thing in the country that does what it does. Now, I'm going to walk you through this solution. This is just a regular old non-qualified plan. And Keith, I know that we've done some of these. So on the left side is a 0% return, $100,000. We put 100 grand in at age 70, okay? And at age 90, we've spent $55,800. When the client dies, there's $131,656 to go to the spouse, and that's assuming we made a 0% return.
And Steve, right there, you don't have to go much farther because they're already looking eye to eye. They've already made eye contact at this point right there. And they say, you mean this can only do better than what you just showed me?
So Keith, walk them through that real quick. So give me I'm Mrs. Jones and Mr. Jones, and I'm sitting there, and you sat down with them, and they said they had $100,000, and go from there.
Well, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, would it be okay if I started an income for you, and let's just say, well, you really don't need this money, do you? Or do you? And they'll say, well, not really. We don't want to pay our taxes. We don't want to do RMDs, but we understand we have to. I said, that's right. So let's just take RMDs and let's take them. That's great. But Mrs. Client, is it okay if when something just unpredictable happens and he passes away, is it okay if you have more instead of less? That's it.
So the reality is,
and stay silent.
Yeah, put your money in, take your money out, and be able to leave you with more no matter what happens, and then take a deep breath and hang on.
And you don't really have to say another word, because they'll go, and it only gets better than this? Yeah.
On the other side of this illustration, here's what happens if it's at 6%. So now, let's say we did better. Now you've got 6%, it's 95,429 or 151 when you pass away. You spent 95, and you're going to have 151. So that being said, there you go. Okay? So you'll fall somewhere between here and there, Mr. and Mrs. Jones. Is that okay? And then after that, Keith, you just kind of take that big, deep breath, step back, and let them start asking